tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Don Blight. Joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, John. Excited to be here to talk about everything PlayStation in regards to E3.
Thank you for joining us this week on Platinum
Covered all
Explosion,
of it.
number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. Look forward to next week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Discord, and join all the things. And check out all our free coverage on Arcade Couch. Remember, every trophy counts. I'm just fucking...
Imagine if you cut that out and made that the episode.
That's just
like half an hour and then
just
put out
post
another
it and then
episode.
and just post that one. Yeah. Well, what a joke. Yeah, so obviously E3 has been happening. That's obviously where most of our attention's been this past week. We have a lot. If you want to hear us talk about E3, we have a lot of E3 stuff up on the Arcade Couch feed. There's currently 2 bonus episodes. There's our main episode of Arcade Couch that posted on Monday for this week. So there's 3 episodes. They're all like over 2 hours. So there's just a lot of E3
A lot of video game stuff.
A lot of video game stuff.
It's not
much related to PlayStation. And of course, there's a bunch of news being posted on the website for the week previews, that sort of stuff. So head on over to ExplosionNetwork.com. We have a lot of E3 stuff happening. But of course, this is our PlayStation podcast. There is news to talk about, and of course, Ratchet Clank, we haven't talked about that. So that's going to be the main focus this week, talking about Ratchet Clank in just a hot second. But I'll put it out straight away. I don't want to spend much on it, like do a whole topic, because I just don't want to. But in general, do you feel it's weird that we don't have PlayStation at E3? Does it feel weird? Or are you just like, no, it's just normal now?
Not really. It's been a few years since actually we're at one.
Yeah, but maybe because of the break, it just feels like, oh, they're missing out on the return tour. You know what I mean?
I mean, it would be weird if all the other showcases were great. At this point, it's like, this makes sense. Why is PlayStation paying E3 to have a showcase?
Yeah, but they just do it themselves.
They can just do it whenever they want by themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd hope the next one they put out is like,
honestly, at this stage, a big one. I'm saying July. What are you saying? Oh, hold on. Let me say late July through to like mid-August ish or something like that. That's what I'm going for.
Maybe
like that 4-week period. It's my current estimate.
Potentially, or maybe I think, bring back PSX.
Maybe, I don't know, but I think they have to. I think they have to do a follow-up state of play shortly after all this, because I feel like that would be the time. Because I feel like they can't wait.
All the momentum in the console war has gone to Xbox.
Yeah, it's like you gotta strike back a little bit. You don't have to do it the day after E3 ends, but if they could still fit one into the whole Keighley Summer Game Fest and have him still promote it, and like it's still separate to E3, like that's what I'm saying, like late July-ish. Something like that. I think that would be a good time. So maybe something like that. But yeah, we shall find out. But yeah, I don't really mind them not being at E3. It's fine. Plus the amount of conferences that we've been talking about where it's like they shouldn't have had one. They didn't need one. This place didn't need one. This was boring. This should have been a press release. It's like if PlayStation had just shown up and been like, we don't really have anything now. We could have had stuff in a month. You'd be like, well, why was fucking PlayStation here? You should have stayed home too. So
see, PlayStation set the mark. They're like, we don't really have anything to announce, so we're not going to E3. Everyone is doing this out of obligation to a certain degree.
Yeah, it feels like it, so that's fine by me. Yeah. All right, let's talk Ratchet Clank. So Ratchet Clank, of course, came out fucking 10 years ago, it feels, to be completely honest, but it feels like it's been so long since the last one. But it came out last Friday, obviously. I was fortunate enough to get code the day after recording last week's episode, and be like, damn, I don't have code. That's kind of sad. I wish I had it.
When the embargoes dropped, we don't have any game. We didn't do anything. And then PlayStation heard and like made us feel bad about making that joke.
I just want to clarify. Look, in case it comes off as if I'm actually ever complaining, I'm just me. I'm just playing it up for the memes. I wasn't actually like, look, I'm always happy
because there are actually people who are very upset.
Yeah,
we know.
So I was. If you can't hear it in my tone, I don't know. I never listened back. I don't know if it came off like I was just being silly. But yes, it was nice to get the code, obviously. So that meant that I was lucky enough to end up beating the game before it released anyway. After all that, so that was fun times. I don't really know. How far are you, by the way? So I've finished it. How far are you? Without saying obviously spoilers or anything.
I've cleared like 3 or 4 worlds, I want to say.
Yeah. 3, 4.
I feel like I'm just kind of scraping the surface.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a 80 shower campaign, 8 to 12 hours to platinum. So, like, it's not obviously that long, is the thing, I guess. But I haven't had a chance to write a review. That there will be a review eventually, especially over time. I've kind of prioritized E3 stuff since the review embargo was already up by the time I got code. So I'm like, I don't feel rushed to get this up. But yeah, it's fucking amazing. Everything that everyone's said, the game is amazing. It is one of, if not the best looking game that you can play on your PlayStation 5 currently.
What mode you play it in?
So I played for it so first playthrough I just did the full prettiest mode. So just whatever that's called. I can't remember. But the 30 frames full 4K with ray tracing mode. When I started up a second playthrough, and I only played like maybe an hour into that. I did it because I needed to play for like 15 minutes to get the last trophy, but then I just kind of kept playing because I switched that one to performance RT. So I kept playing for a little bit just to see how it is. Honestly, if you're someone who wants the best of both worlds, performance RT is probably, I think, the go-to, probably the best mode. Mm-hmm. Resolution is slightly... Like when you switch between the two, for a second, you'll be like, I can tell difference for a second. But then when you start playing, honestly, it doesn't really matter. And the difference between 30 and 60 frames is highly noticeable, especially in this game when there's like a lot happening on screen and you're like dodging around the place and all that sort of stuff. I think the 60 frame boost is really appreciated. But again, I like these games just having 3 easy to understand options. It's like this one's 30 frames with all the bell and whistles. This one's 60 with ray tracing and resolutions downscaled, and this one's 60 with the higher resolution with no ray tracing and all this sort of thing. Like I think they're pretty simple. I like having options, but yeah, I assume you're just in default, or what do you switch to? Because you don't give a fuck.
I will switch it to whatever the middle one is. I think it defaults on the prettiest mode.
It does default.
I just moved it.
And that's what I played for on the first time because I just was like, you know what? It's not Dark Souls. I want that 60, but also, much like with Spider-Man, I was just like, I just want the prettiest. I just want to enjoy it pretty. Like, 60 frames is nice, but damn, I just want all the pretties. And there's a lot of pretties. Like, it is that Ratchet Clank art style that's probably had since day one, you know, just like the design of the world and characters. I know everyone keeps throwing out this, like, it's the stupid, like, it feels worn out to say, but yeah, it is a Pixar movie come to life. Like, it feels a little bit redundant to say because I feel like we've been saying that for a lot of sort of animated games of the last sort of generation or a couple of years or stuff like that, but it really does.
PS3 almost, yeah.
Yeah, but I really do feel like we've finally hit the stride where no one could argue. Like, this looks better than some animated movies, I swear, that have come out in the last couple of years. Like, and that's in-game, in-engine, while you're playing it, not just cutscenes. While you're playing the game, it looks better than CG animated movies I've watched at the cinema. So, and I don't think that's hyperbole. I think that's just literally how good this game looks. Let alone when you go into photo mode and pause and you really get to appreciate the ray tracing where, because maybe that's something you don't notice when you're playing it for the first time. You're like, what is ray tracing? I don't really get it. It's like, go into photo mode, go like look
at Clank.
Go look at literal bolts on the ground and see how every single one is ray traced and has lighting bouncing off it. Go look at characters' eyes, reflections, all this sort of, like, it is insanity and it works. And I don't know how, considering this game is, I know there's levels and planets, but it's still quite fucking big at times, especially some of the planets are quite larger than others. And even to have it run at 4K 30, fine, like that, I'm like, that's still quite a I think people, again, I know I've said this a lot in this podcast, I don't think people appreciate how good that is. Like, you would need quite a good PC to run this game. And the price of the PS5 is a lot cheaper than the price of a PC that would be required to play this game if it was on PC. You're just getting all these features, and 4K ray tracing and stuff is so much cheaper and looks so much better. And anyway, I know we're talking a lot about how pretty it is. It's because that's what you'll notice first. You'll start the game and you'll be like, fuck. So pretty. Yeah. Like, especially because the game very much is like, it wants you to know it's pretty from the outset. You know, these doors, you start the game, Ratchet Clank, doors literally open the first time you get to control the game. I mean, there's no opening cutscene, but the doors literally open to this festival show for Ratchet and Clank that's sort of honoring them as heroes. And you walk out and everyone's cheering for you, and it does that whole sort of, it's kind of like emerging from the vault Fallout 3, but like obviously not that, but it feels that same sort of vibe, or like leaving the tunnel, whatever, Link's tomb in Breath of the Wild, like coming up for the, like, it has that sort of effect of games that make you walk out from somewhere doors open or something, or like vistas, like what is this? And this game's version of that is like, we're fucking pretty, you know, like look how gorgeous our game is.
Look at how gorgeous all of this. Look at all the details.
Yeah. And then not to mention, like, I spent probably a good minute or so on that platform at the start of the game before leaving it, solely because I was like, fuck, this is pretty. I'm just like slow panning around, like just being like, yeah. Just automatically went straight into photo mode, was like, oh my God, look at all the details, stuff like that. Then walked over to the grass and I was like, oh, I had a little bit of haptic feedback happening here. Then went over to the, jumped on the first balloon or whatever and automatically was like, oh, 3D audio is coming nicely through the, you know, like I was just like, I was like slowly tasting this smorgasbord of like different, using all the PS5 stuff.
Using everything, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck yeah. So, gameplay, spending a lot of time talking about playing it. Gameplay wise, it is everything you know and love about Ratchet Clank. I don't think it does anything particularly new. And that's sort of my one big negative. I would say that the guns are all great. I just don't feel like there was any in here that blew me away more so than I would expect from a Ratchet game, if that makes sense. You know, I'm like, cool gun. Like the most exciting one that I hadn't really seen is the Tapater or whatever, the sprinkler system thing that turns people into plants. I'm like, that's funny. But a lot of the other weapons are stuff I've seen before. Iterations of stuff. Or iterations of stuff we've seen before.
Shotgun, the bomb gun.
Yeah.
Bombs,
I'm like, there's a fun.
The guy who shoots for you. Yeah.
But I would have preferred maybe just a few more guns that felt new, fresh, exciting. And yeah, like obviously that's not a huge negative, but it's currently one of my next could have used a bit more there. But yeah, other than that, there's really not too much to talk about Ratchet Clank. They, for better or worse, they're like, it's a Ratchet Clank game. If you play 2016, it's better gameplay than that because obviously that's a remake of the first one. It's iteration on the future trilogy, so obviously you got a lot more stuff here. I think the best thing this game adds is after a couple of worlds, you get these speed boost things where you can hold down, I think it's R1 or whatever to, you can just always be like speed boosting across the place. And that just adds so much to the game where you can move faster, not only outside of combat, but also in combat where you can just be speeding around and like jumping and hopping and whatever. That just adds a lot to the game that I really appreciate it. A lot more, I don't know. Speed.
It's just faster.
It's just faster. So that's good. Story-wise, I actually think this is probably the best story in a Ratchet and Clank game, and that is a huge, possibly underappreciated fact.
Did you play the future trilogy?
I played them with a friend, if that counts.
Okay, yeah.
Like, so I don't have
experienced the story though.
Yeah. So if you look on my PlayStation, I don't have them, but I did like pass the controller back and forward when they were coming out at my friend's place because we played through the first one together, and then when they kept coming out, I just kept playing them with him. So I've played them. I haven't played through them all by myself or whatever. But because I remember helping him get the platinum on, what was the last one called? I can't remember, the one that everyone loves the most.
Crack in Time.
Yeah, Crack in Time. Like, it was like that had a really annoying plat. We just kept taking turns because you had to like farm up all the weapons or whatever and shit like that. So it made it easier for him, obviously. Fuck it. I should have a shared plat, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think the story and the key reason the story in this one is so good, I think, is just not Ratchet. Like Ratchet's fine, but this game to me is all about Rivet. I think Rivet's story in this is so good. I think she's such an engaging character that actually, and obviously I'm dodging spoilers and stuff. And look, I don't know if I've missed the trailer, but I've seen people post pictures with a certain character that's more involved with Rivet. And I'm like, I don't recall seeing that character in a trailer, so I just don't want to say it. Do you know who I mean? Like, I don't know if you've got...
I don't think so. Okay,
so like there's a character in the game that's also important to Rivet, and they have a really cool, especially in like the last third of the game, they enter this really cool, sort of predictable plot point, but it's I really appreciated the way they did it. It's almost a spin on Ratchet and Clank's original introduction, and sort of like a back and forth they have, and the way they learnt to be friends sort of thing. Really cool. And then by the time you get to the end of the game, I was like, please, you know they're going to do a sequel, and they set up a sequel, but I was like, there was a hot second where I thought they were going to separate Rivet and be like, all right, go back to your world and Ratchet will continue on his adventures. But I don't think it's a big spoiler to say that the ending is what is basically like Rivet will be in the next game. So I'm like, oh, thank God, because if you're not, if I was going to split them, I was going to be like, give me the Rivet game, not the Ratchet game.
Into
like,
the Ratchet verse.
Yeah, into the fucking Rivet verse I wanted. Yeah, like that's what I wanted. So yeah, I love the game. I think it's definitely, there's no way you can finish this. It's just utterly enjoyable. It's at all points jaw drop gorgeous. It's just straight up a fun video game. And I think this is one of those times where it's just fine to say that. It is a fun as fuck video game where you'll play it from start to finish. You'll be grinning. You'll have a fantastic time. It's not too long. It's not too short. The platinum's super enjoyable to get. I do think that's just a fun thing to point out. Like it's one of those annoying plats. It's like you'll actually want to get the plat because it's the kind of game where you want to get all the things. I got all the gold bolts. Didn't even need to. Like 100% of the game. Didn't even need to. I've upgraded all the weapons. Didn't even need to. Like that was just me. I like the game. I just did all the things. Okay. So I'm not always just about the trophies.
So there's enough whatever the thing is to upgrade all the weapons completely. Rarium.
No, because I did it.
Whatever it's called.
I did it play. Hold on. Let me put an asterisk on that. I upgraded them all to the max you can on one playthrough. I don't think it's a spoiler to say if you start New Game Plus, you can upgrade them. So the max on playthrough 1's 5.
Oh, okay.
Playthrough 2, they let you upgrade to 10. So I haven't done to 10, I did to 5.
Okay, so it's like the old school games, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like making sure to do that and whatever else. But yeah, I got all the gold boats, which means that your second playthrough is super easy because you can turn on infinite ammo and shit, which I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I don't give a fuck at this stage. Like,
wow.
I'll turn on infinite ammo. I'm just having fun.
I do like that with the gold boats, you unlock like
skins and shit,
different white skins, or
yeah, for your wrenches and your ships and stuff like that. Yeah, so
yeah.
Anyway,
that's cool.
The game's amazing. If I had to give a score now without the review, it's definitely around. It's to me either an 8.5 or a 9. I'm not quite at like that. I think there's just some things holding it back from being like that 9.5 to 10 to me, which is the lack of exciting weapons and some of the more action heavy scenes, like the moments that are supposed to be like, I guess we all in the video game industry refer to them as like those Uncharted-esque moments now. You know what I mean? Like if you say that, yeah, set pieces. I think those were underwhelming when the game was treating them like they were bigger. And they didn't feel like they were like for instance, I don't think it's, without spoiling, there's a segment where like you're doing one of those rail segments, which we do in every Ratchet game basically, where you got to jump between all the rails and there's something like chasing you and it's rather large and it's cool. But I'm just like, the rail movement isn't fast enough for this to feel as exhilarating as I think the game thinks it is, if that makes sense. So I was kind of let down by some of those things, but yeah, that's not being big super nitpicky. There's just like some things where I'm like, my brain was like, I don't know if this is, yeah. So I'm probably around an 8.5 to a 9. Must play PlayStation game. I don't know. You're not as far. Obviously you're going to finish it, but yeah, how are you feeling? Because I yapped on for like 20 minutes here.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's killing me that I haven't played more of it. Yeah, it just feels like a Ratchet & Clank game. That's kind of all I need because I love all the Ratchet & Clank games. Like all the main ones are like brilliant. So it definitely has, the humor that we come to enjoy from Ratchet & Clank games. Dr. Nefarious, freaking hilarious. It's ridiculous.
The worst bad guy ever, but yeah.
Worst bad guy ever.
Oh, no, Captain Quark may be the worst bad guy ever. But
no, he's a good guy.
Yeah, okay, sure.
He's the worst good guy ever. Yeah. But yeah, and Rivet's like a really interesting character, and like getting to see the echoes of like when they go to the hideout for the first time, it's like it's so much like meeting Ratchet for the first time. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think, yeah, like you said, collecting everything is really fun. Even though, yeah, there's that element of like, there was a lot of certain points where you need to backtrack, unfortunately, later. I think at the start of the game, I'm like, where the fuck is this dodge button? Why is this circle button not working?
Oh, you gotta unlock it.
But it becomes, it's something you're gonna need to unlock further down the line. But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm liking through traversal. Yeah, just everything's kind of brilliant about it. Like, even the little weird mini puzzles that you have to do for everything.
They're one I hated. That's another thing in my negative part.
Yeah, but you suck at puzzles.
No. The DNA little spider bot, that thing, little spider bot, you got to shoot things.
Great.
I don't think they're very good. I think they're pretty shit, to be honest. I think that is just that's one.
The Batman tank.
Let me admit something, right? So this game, I love this. This is great because it actually makes the game way more enjoyable. It lets you literally pause the game and go, I don't want to do this puzzle. I skipped the last two of those. I was like, these things are shit. They're boring. I don't like them. The game's given me the option to skip them, and I did. You know what? Get fucked. You can be like, oh, Dylan, skip the levels.
You missed all the valuable plot points of the little,
I give 0 fucks.
Little virus thing.
Absolutely 0 fucks. Comparatively, the Clank puzzles, where you got to guide the little, similar to what they were in the Future Trilogy, or at least Crack and Time had very similar sort of things, where you got to guide them into certain things. Fun.
Like a Lemmings-esque, yeah.
Yes. Great. Done all of those. Was happy to not skip them. Very, like, they had a challenge to them, but it made sense and they weren't boring and just annoying. Completed all of those. Enjoyable. Stupid Spider-Bot things. I skipped the last two. Gave 0 fucks. So, anyway, continue.
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
You know, I'm definitely keen to check out more. I'm interested to see where the story goes. I just did the planet. One of the last planets I did was the one with all the Lombax, holocrons or whatever they're called.
Oh, yeah. Did you collect all those?
Yeah.
Yeah, one has an interesting, I don't want to say because it's like thing, but one of them has a little Easter eggy type teaser thing, I guess, if you want to call it that, if you listen to it. But
yeah.
So
yeah, definitely keen to keep playing.
Yeah. Also, the Rhino when you unlock it, because I kind of wish they'd kept it a secret, but I don't think it's obviously not a spoiler because they posted on Twitter before the release. But when you unlock the Rhino and it drops shit from, because that's what that teaser was. That we should mention because we talked about this last week on Plat. It was like, oh,
it's a joke.
It's going to mean nothing. All these Twitter posts of them like Sly Raccoon.
It means nothing for them developing other games.
Yeah. Where it was like, why are they posting all these pictures with Nathan Drake and Sunset Overdrive and all these other franchises? What it was is the Horizon and all that sort of stuff is the Rhino, because the Rhino's always in these games. This one is blasted and it'll randomly drop a warp tunnel and something from those games will drop onto enemies below. Also, side tip, I got the Rhino before I finished the game. So like I had everything unlocked before I did the last boss fight. And I went, the Rhino, you only have like 4 bullets, of course. It doesn't give you many, but got to the last boss fight. It's just like bang, 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 doing like 4 or 5% of its health each shot. I'm like, this is just going to be a breeze. Like, and then, when I started my second playthrough, turned on that infinite ammo with the gold bolt. And I'm just like blasting fucking dinosaurs from the sky and shit everywhere. I'm like, I beat the game already. This is just fun now. Like blasting random Horizon dinosaurs from the sky and stuff. So yeah, there's fun to be had using the, cheat menu or whatever you're gonna call it, golden bolt menu. Ratchet Clank's it's must play. If you got a PS5 and you're not playing Ratchet Clank, why'd you buy a fucking PS5? To be honest,
why?
You know, like come on, play the goddamn. Getting into the news, there's another good thing about Ratchet Clank. Kotaku writes, it's Insomniac devs say Ratchet Clank Rift Apart was made with no crunch. Usually, any video game that launches to a hugely positive reception is inevitably followed with miserable news of developers toiling away, pulling 60-plus hour weeks for months on end to make it happen. But apparently, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is the exception. Developers at Insomniac revealed on Twitter early Wednesday morning that, at least for some staffers and some teams, the entire production of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was managed without one iota of crunch. That's astonishing for almost any project. Some degree of crunch, even in small spurts for a couple of days or weeks, is assumed to be normal for a lot of software developers, etc., etc., etc. So this was cool to see. Obviously, these people that tweeted, like there's a few people that tweeted, and obviously not every person who made Ratchet Clank or worked on it has Twitter or feels comfortable to tweet about it or talk about these things, but a few felt like tweeting about it and said that I didn't, like, at least in my department, as far as I'm aware, no crunch. Bunch of other people, like in my department, no crunch. One of the person was like, there was a couple of weeks where I did like a 50-hour week or whatever, like nothing hugely excessive. Like it was obviously a little bit more hours that week, and they would have got paid overtime for it. So that's what we always talk about when we talk about crunch. It's like people are getting paid accordingly and it's not for long periods of time. And it seems like this is what's happening. I think the other thing that this story made me think though is not only is it good because we're all like Ratchet & Clank, really wholesome, fun, great game. And then to be like it was made under nice conditions. It's like, oh, you can just enjoy that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I also think another takeaway I've had from this is that pair this with the Cory Barlog God of War delay stuff. I think maybe behind the scenes PlayStation had a
clean out.
Had like a meeting or something and was like, look, at least for their studios, they were like, we're taking this seriously and no crunch, or at least try to
It's like,
let's meet
this is a massive PR problem.
Yeah.
We need to stop doing this because it looks bad every time they report. Jason Schreier comes out with the report saying that we crunch.
Like, and maybe that's wrong. Maybe we'll find out fucking Guerrilla made Horizon Zero Dawn under the worst conditions possible. But currently, I think with this...
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I'm just saying, like, pair this Ratchet and Clank news with that Cory Barlog God of War thing and being like, him tweeting, I'm doing what's best for the team and stuff. It does really feel like PlayStation. Apparently, Returnal was made with no crunch either. There were stories of that. So it feels like PlayStation, at least the PlayStation house and secondary house families of studios, have been told, or at least, or maybe not even told to not crunch. Maybe PlayStation was like, we're not rushing you. Because remember, Media Molecule, every interview about Dreams where people are like, when's the game coming out? When's the game coming out? They're like, we don't crunch. And they never crunched for that game. That was the reason Dreams took so long to come out, is because they were like, we work 40-hour weeks max, and we're not doing more. And that's why that game took so long to come out. A bunch of people were, was always like, when's the game coming out? And they're like, well, it could have been out if we crunched, but Sony never made them. So maybe Sony just reiterated that message to the rest of the studios and was like, or maybe the rest of the studios went, why is Media Molecule allowed to do that? And then PlayStation was like, no, none of you need to do that. Like, you can all just work normal hours. It's fine. Well, that's what I hope and I want to believe. The one studio I need to hear this from, though,
Naughty Dog.
Because of course we know that Naughty Dog has a history of crunching to get these massive games like Last of Us out and stuff. So that is going to be the one. So like if the next Naughty Dog game comes out and we hear reports from Schreier or whoever that's like, they didn't crunch on this one, that's when you're like, okay, PlayStation has sort of nailed this culture.
They've crunched out the crunch.
They've crunched out the crunch, yeah. So, and again, I do think it's important because you have people like Rockstar heads and CD Projekt Red heads and all these people who are like, you can't make these really great video games without crunching. And then you have something like Ratchet come out and whatever else, and they're really fucking fantastic. And people say they made them without crunching. It's like, well, you're wrong. You can make good video games without killing people at the same time. Who'd have fucking thought it?
I mean,
like
yeah. I think it, more than anything, it just reiterates how great a studio Insomniac is and how good their management team must be to get the games out relatively quickly and not have the crunch aspect. I mean, they put out 3 games in the last 3 years or something like that. Freaking crazy.
With that, I honestly think, I know people always go Naughty Dog's the best studio at the moment. I think Insomniac's the best studio.
That's what I said last year. So I'm gonna say I came up with that, and now people are.
I'm fine to go. I'm fine to go along with it because remember I was having this discussion where Naughty Dog was winning those awards, the developer awards and stuff, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable being like giving a developer award to a developer. Like, what are we awarding them for? Because for the product, I guess, and that's what it was. But I was thinking, like, if I was doing my own, or we were doing like developer award here, my pitch to you and everyone else, Explosion, would be like, if we're awarding a developer for being a good developer, I want it to not be you made good product, because that feels very like consumerism bullshit. I would like to be like, you are a good developer because of the way you went about it and your culture and your people.
But that's so hard to judge because we don't know the history of every single studio in and out.
No, it's true. But you also, I don't like, but that's like any other award, like.
Yeah, that's true.
Just, you judge it from the outset and what you know and what information you have. So anyway, that's a whole bit. Hopefully, it's just good. Good story. So earlier this week, we did learn that a patch would be coming to Returnal. It's posted the day of recording. It posted this morning, so we're recording this Tuesday. It did post this morning, or actually overnight, I think it posted. But can confirm that everything they said was going to happen was going to happen. So in the patch notes, there was a bunch of other stuff, but the important stuff was Platinum added support for replaying certain Act 1 to Act 2 trophies. Platinum added support for retroactively award trophies which cannot be replayed. Platinum added additional locations for scout logs 9, 34, 35, and 46 to appear more often. Platinum fixed an issue where one cipher was sometimes unattainable for biome survey trophies, and Platinum fixed an issue where some activity cards displayed an incorrect count. So all of the sort of buggy things, they were apparently stamped out in this. And Buddy Watson from Radio Watson did tweet early this morning at fucking 1 a.m. or whatever ridiculous time that he got Scout Log 9, the first room he walked into after the patch. So everyone, I know I talked about it before, where else, talking about my journey with the platinum, and I mentioned in my trophy guide that the hardest part of getting this is going to be the grind and the hours it took me to find Scout Log 9 and some of these other things. Apparently they've now made these things. I don't think this is let's make it easier. I just think the rates were stupid before, and this is them being like, yeah, we fucked up there, and they're just fixing it. So that's good. Returnal, obviously, still a hard platinum because the game is hard. However, the aspect that was making it tedious and annoying has now been not nullified, because you'll still have to grind a little bit, but it's still like an acceptable grind it looks. So that's good. Good shit. So if you were holding out or he wasn't doing it, I'm happy to hear. And also, if the question is, does it annoy me that I spent all the hours? No, not really. It's fine. I don't really care. No. It's fine.
You moved on.
I've moved on. I've got the plat. That's all that matters. I don't really care. If it makes other people be able to get it, like Buddy, who really loves the game as well, why do I care? Good job. Cool. Everyone gets a plat.
Everybody gets a platinum.
Everyone gets a platinum.
If they earn it.
If they earn it, that's correct. Talking about if you want to earn platinum. So Hades.
Yeah.
Was announced during the Xbox E3 event that it was coming to Xbox, and then afterwards, Supergiant obviously announced that the game would be coming to PlayStation as well. So here's what will happen: it's coming out August 13th. PS5, PS4. You can get so it's running at 4K 60 frames per 4K 60 frames per second on the PS5. And the DualSense controller will receive some enhanced controller features, including like vibration or haptic feedback type stuff. I doubt it will be much, but that's something they did mention in the press release. The PS4 version does get a free upgrade to the PS5 version. Ash did ask this question the other day about, can you upload your save from PS4 to PS5? I'm going to say I don't know, but let's assume so. It'll cost $50 for the physical version in Australia. I don't know if the $50 price tag is the same as digital. They don't have a digital price as of yet, and I don't know if it's on the PlayStation Store as of yet. I doubt it because it's still like 2 months away. Maybe it's a little bit cheaper. But yeah, if you want the physical copy, it's $50, 32-page art book, code to download the game soundtrack, that sort of thing. But the most important thing about all this is, if you only listen to Platinum Explosion, we obviously haven't talked about Hades at all, if only a little on this show, but we have talked about it a lot in general Explosion Network. In fact, it was Explosion Network's game of the year for 2020. It's a game which me and Ash love quite a lot, and Kieran as well, but I feel like me and Ash talked about it more so than Kieran to a degree there. So, and we've been amped, excited for it to one day hopefully come to PlayStation.
Sorry, I just had a look. Hades on the PlayStation Store, $39.95.
$10
pre-order
difference. So,
but that is just the game.
Yeah, which is fine. And if you're like, is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. It is one of the best games, not only of last year, but of probably the last 10 years in my mind. Easily.
But yeah. So when you say that, it's like one of the best games ever.
Yeah, probably. It'd be on my top whatever. Like, I know, like, I haven't done like a list, but it's definitely in like my personal top 50, if that's a thing. It's in the higher end of that 50. I haven't like ordered it, but yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite. It is one of my favorite games I've ever played. How about you? Would you give it that ranking?
Yes.
Yes, that was very fast. Yes, so that's good. If you don't know what the game is, because again, don't think we've talked about it on this, it is a roguelike, but it's all built around a story. And it's built around a story that'll make you care about not only playing the game, but it's built around a way that'll make you care for the characters. So you play as Zagreus, son of Hades, Zeus. No, what's
Hades?
Hades. Yeah, fuck, I got lost there for a second. And you're trying to escape hell, right? And you do that by breaking out of a window, and you start at level 1 of hell, obviously, and you fight through rooms. The rooms are randomized. Each time you enter a room, you get different things called boons, which are sort of upgrades. Of course, none of this, because it's roguelike, carries on to your next playthrough. You'll die, of course. You'll die a lot in this game. Each time you come back, you can talk to characters back in the palace, I guess is what it's called.
Hades, Halls of Hades.
Halls of Hades, yeah. And you can talk to everyone from your own father to all these other characters. More characters come and join there as you play it. It gets quite funnier later when you start beating some of the bosses, especially the first boss, and then you'll get back there and you can talk to her and be like, all right, see you later when I try and escape again. And it's quite a funny game. It's really humorous, fantastic art style, but like it is the perfect mix of gameplay mad with story And it is the perfect mix of elements in any roguelike that I've played. Like, it is one where you're like, why are you always replaying it? Like, why are people dying? People always try and make excuses and reasons for why you're always replaying stuff. And I always appreciated Rogue Legacy, how it was like you're just playing as a family lineage, and time went on and went on. And then when you beat that game, it shows you all the characters and what year they were born and stuff like that. And I thought that was funny. And I thought that was a good way to do it at the time. And then you play Hades, and it perfectly melds gameplay and story. And you never run out of stuff. Characters are always saying new stuff somehow. There's so much dialogue in this game. It always feels like you have something new to talk to about someone, new things to unlock, and then you each time you come back, you do keep something, so you can level up Zagreus and get like new abilities. You can unlock new weapons and stuff like that. So you always feel like you're not only getting better at the game, but progressing at skills and stuff like that, which makes, of course, the game easier and stuff like that, of course. Yeah. What would you add to? Is there anything I missed there, Ash? Is in the Hades pitch for the PlayStation audience?
No, it's just a fantastic story, full of great story moments, which doesn't make sense for a roguelike, but it does, and it's like super satisfying when you complete those runs. You get through lots of different options and playstyles you can go with. Each run will feel different based on the different boons you get, the different attachments you have, and how much coins and stuff you get. So lots to like and lots of different things to do in the game. So definitely day one purchase when it comes to PS5, just so I can boot it up and play it.
Chasing that platinum, which I do want to put out. Slightly disappointed. I know you reckon I was going to cheat it, but slightly disappointed that they don't have cross-save enabled between the PC version and the Switch version, so I couldn't transfer over my Epic Game Store save file and just like pop a bunch of trophies and try and go for the plat. Yeah. But it's fine. It's a good enough game that I'm not angry about having to play it from the start. So
it's good because you'll grow, you'll improve. You won't take a shortcut, and you'll have gained something.
Thank you for that. Very good. And if you're wondering if it's achievable platinum, it should be if it's the same Epic Game Store / Steam achievement list. You basically just have to do everything in the game, which sounds like a lot, but also by the time you start playing it, and then it'll be a little bit of a grind at the end because you got to earn like a certain amount of stuff to unlock all of the. I can't remember what
the heat and stuff.
Yeah, all the heat levels and stuff like that. But I don't even think you need to do all of them based on the achievement list. But maybe you did. I can't remember. I think you only need to do enough to unlock the 3 skeleton things, if that makes sense, Ash.
I think that might be.
But I don't think that's max heat. I don't think so. I don't know. We'll see.
No, I don't think
Look,
so.
Honestly, if there's a trophy, if they add a trophy that says beat the game on max heat, I may not platinum it because that's very fucking hard. That
seems crazy.
That's probably too hard for me to do, to be honest. So we shall see. But either way, I'll be playing it again. I'm really looking forward to it, and everyone else should be as well. All right, so another event we've had during E3 at the moment is they did do Tribeca Game Spotlight. So they showed off a bunch of games there that was like the first games thing as part of the Tribeca Games Festival. And part of that, important one for PlayStation, a little game we've been keeping track of for a while now, of course, is they had Kenna Bridge of Spirits in here. And it was new gameplay in here, new story details in here, and it was interwoven with a really cool put together interview with Josh and Mike Greer, the head developers at Ember Lab, or the what do you call someone who starts the founders, I guess, founders of Ember Lab, and they discuss how they've come from movies and love of movies and movie animation and coming from that to doing this, and how they were just like, we might try and learn how to do games, and they've brought over people from movie animation to try and do this, and everyone's sort of been learning how to do it together. And they do show off some more gameplay in here. They show off some of the puzzles, almost like like Pikmin, like, I guess, sort of gameplay where you can lead around these little creatures, whatever they're called, the rot, I think was that different? I can't remember. I'm getting all these games confused.
Sounds right.
You can order them to do stuff as part of puzzles and all this sort of things like that. And did you watch this segment from?
No, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah, so I'm
keen to check out the entire Spotlight. So
yeah, all in all, the whole Spotlight's very good. Obviously, they're not all PlayStation games, but yeah, if you've devoured nearly everything from E3 and you're looking for something else games related, the Tribeca Games Spotlight was very good. Not only for new Kenna footage, which very, very pretty. And obviously the game's only a couple months away at this point. So it's looking like it's coming together. But yeah, just to hear the backstory behind the game and why they made it and that sort of stuff. It's one of those interviews where it's actually put together well. So it's quite entertaining stuff. So check that out. There's another thing. New PlayStation Studio. This was the one big Sony related news to come out of E3 / Summer Game Fest, I guess, so far. So last week, right, Eurogamer, Sony announced it had signed a deal with Deviation Games to make a brand new PlayStation IP. The second such deal Sony has announced in recent months, because of course there was that one, I can't remember the name, but we did talk about it briefly. It was like randomly announced in a press release that one morning or whatever. So Deviation Games was set up in November 2019 by former Treyarch developers Dave Anthony and Jason Blundell, both of whom played key roles in the success of the Call of Duty Black Ops series. Blundell, one of the chief creators of Call of Duty's popular Zombies mode, left Treyarch after 13 years at the developer. And he is like the key name. Like if you Call of Duty fanboys are, and I'm like not making fun of them here, like I've seen Call of Duty fanboys online being like, I'm super keen for whatever this game is. Like to Call of Duty fans, Jason Blundell is sort of like a key name where it's like whatever that person does next, I want to see. It's like when what's his name, Zimmerman or whatever, who left like Infinity Ward and they started Respawn, and then all of the Call of Duty fanboys at that point who were like big Modern Warfare fans were like fawning for Titanfall because it was like, okay, one of the key Call of Duty guys, new game, which was Titanfall, Respawn Studios, they were like totally in on that and all over it. So it's one of those sorts of names. Blundell has that similar thing. So Eurogame continues to pair have said nothing so far about what they're building for Sony. In an interview of Eurogamer, head of PlayStation Studios Herman Holst said it's still a while out. But Holst revealed PlayStation had been working with Deviation on this game for over a year already, saying, quote, obviously we're not announcing a game, but a partnership today, which means it's a little while out. But at the same time, we've been working together for a while now. It's not like we signed the deal yesterday. We've been working together for about a year and a half, and it's going really well. We have our guys who are actively involved in the development that play the stuff that we're making. But both Anthony and Blundell, end quote, sorry. Both Anthony and Blundell wouldn't be drawn on the details of this new PlayStation IP, despite my questioning, and by my we mean whoever wrote this, I've already forgot, sorry. It stands to reason that it would be a shooter given the pair's pedigree, but that remains unconfirmed for now. However, Anthony insisted it's a major endeavor, and Holst said it should be considered a AAA game. They confirmed that the studio is over 100 people as of now. Quote from Anthony, make no mistake, this game is big in scope. There's no question about it, and we're going to need a lot more people to make that game. Deviation Games, we're growing at the pace we believe is responsible to rise to that challenge because the talent density in the team, there's nothing more important to Jason and I than having the right talent density and having the right culture. So this is a big deal, I guess, to a degree. The one big question I have is, so PlayStation hasn't brought the studio, but they're working very closely. Obviously, if they're like, we've been working with them over a year and a half. The fact they got trotted out on stage at Summer Game Fest just to say that they're working with PlayStation, and that was the one big PlayStation announcement. Obviously, it's like, look, this is a big deal. We want you to treat it like it's a big deal. And to a degree, it is solely because of them, and if you know them. Yeah. If you don't know them, and you don't know, especially Jason Blundell, because that's the bigger name out of the two as far as like famous video game developers, if you want to put it that way. His name carries a lot of weight. I do think that's worth pointing out. Like if you were sitting there watching it, like, why is this important? It's just because you don't know his name. He is a big name in the video game industry. So that is an exciting factor about this. I think the fact that they're like, look, year and a half, we've been working on stuff. Still some time away. They're not rushing anything out. They left the studio a couple of years ago. They didn't rush straight into another project. They got worn out working on Call of Duty. They're probably making a first-person shooter. PlayStation is missing that shooter stuff currently. They used to have a lot. Now they got nothing.
They haven't made one since
Killzone Shadowfall on PS4,
which was start of the PS4
launch game,
launch title. Yeah, so it's a genre they haven't historically been very strong in.
No.
Obviously, you've had the Killzone games, you've had the Resistance games, but other than that, and SOCOM, I guess. But other than that, there isn't a long lineage of PlayStation exclusive shooters. So if they can get one, that's cool. I think it's interesting that, again, PlayStation going after or making deals with reasonably big creatives who are starting their own studios. Obviously, they did with Kojima.
Yeah.
They've done it with these guys, and they've done it with Jade Raymond. So setting up and helping new studios, new potential AAA studios, is pretty cool.
So this is one thing I was going to bring up. That's an interesting thing that Sony's been doing since Kojima, I guess, and it seems to be they're doing more of it. They're teaming up with studios and helping them, and of course they're wanting these games to be exclusive, at least for a time being, but they're not straight out buying these studios. They're just sort of helping cultivate studios.
And that makes sense because a lot of these creatives have been held back by massive corporations. So they're not exactly going to want to jump it straight into being bought by another massive corporation. So just try and work them to keep long-term relationships and that kind of thing. So maybe they don't own them when the first game comes out, but down the line,
PlayStation doesn't rush to buy anyone. I mean,
and they don't need to. I don't think
they never had, because they often would be like, PlayStation seem to work at if we treat people right, we don't need to buy them. They'll just happily make exclusives for us, kind of thing. Like,
you just look at Insomniac before.
Yeah.
Like they'd bought, how many Ratchet and Clank games did they make? Yeah. Never being owned by PlayStation.
And then they fucked off, did one game, like, nah, come back.
No, Xbox, what?
Yeah.
EA, no.
Coming back home. So, yeah, but it's interesting. Like, so it started with Kojima, I guess, kinda. They like cultivated his brand new studio, gave him an engine, gave him all this freedom to do whatever he wanted.
Resources,
all these resources. They made it exclusive for a while, and of course, then it came to PC. And I mean, you could argue it's like not on Xbox, so it's still console exclusive. So I guess that's the important aspect there. But now so we've got these other developers. We've got this new Deviation Games. They're obviously working very closely with them. It's assumably going to be a PlayStation. So they did announce it's a PlayStation IP. So that does mean that it's console exclusive.
Well, it implies a new IP, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a new IP, but they did, the wording was PlayStation IP.
But they said it was PlayStation.
Which they didn't officially say it's a PlayStation exclusive, but they said PlayStation IP, which makes me go, okay, maybe it's on PC. Because Sony doesn't mind PC stuff these days. They play quite happy with PC. Yep. But I'm saying straight away, this isn't coming to Xbox. So maybe that's their new thing. But also they didn't buy shit. Jade Raymond.
It's probably cheaper than buying a studio.
I would be surprised if Jade Raymond has the same thing. That other studio that I forgot the name of that we talked about like a month ago, that they announced they're working on a first-person shooter or a shooter of some kind as well. Remember, like we briefly talked about something like that. Similar sort of deal happening there. That seems to be PlayStation's thing at the moment. They're sort of just helping cultivate these studios with all their resources and knowledge that they have within the PlayStation family, and like sharing game engines and helping them find what they want. Like, remember when they literally took Kojima around and was like, which engine works best for you? Which would you like? Like trying to really help him out and all that sort of stuff. So, but it's really funny when you compare it to Xbox, which is their strategy has been I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong or isn't working for them, because it does seem like it's about to pay off for them, because they've got all these games they just announced finally at the E3 conference after they bought all these studios like a year or two ago from the last couple of years. But that's been Xbox's strategy. They've been like, we don't have a lot happening within our house at the moment. We need to spend money and bolster up properties, and that's what they've done, and that's what's been working for them. PlayStation's like, we've got a lot of really great studios. We probably don't need to buy anyone at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe PlayStation announces they're buying like one studio, maybe within the next like 6 to 12 months.
Within this generation, yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise it seems like the strategy is currently like, we're just making friends.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been kind of Sony's strategy. I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense. You mitigate the costs of running the studio.
Yeah.
It's just, paying them for the resources and the exclusivity and that kind of stuff. So, I think it just comes down to Sony's better at that than Xbox was, and now Xbox has just bought the studio, so that they don't have to. They have more control and it's over the top of these studios. So,
and honestly, I feel like for a lot of these studios, if they're like, it's console exclusive, but you can put it on PC and I feel like maybe that's just all right, that feels okay to me. Whereas if it was like, you can only have it on our console, all these studios would be like, don't know about that. But I feel like it is that PC thing, maybe. That for a lot of people, it's like, PC, you say, not Xbox? Yeah, maybe I'm a bit more intrigued by what you're offering me right now, PlayStation, as far as deals go.
That obviously adds a massive extra player base.
Yes.
So
yes, even if it is like you can't do it until 6 months. 6 months after.
Dollars,
it's like 6 months isn't that
it's
long.
It's like PC players don't care.
Like,
PC players don't care.
They pretend console games that don't exist until they're on PC, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Talking about Kojima and stuff though, Death Stranding announced a new version during the Summer Game Fest Kickoff Live. Jeff Keighley had Hideo Kojima come out. They announced that Death Stranding Director's Cut is releasing soon. They also announced that we will get more information on it soon. What both of these things I don't really know. The trailer is basically set during, like, it implies that it's going to be a Metal Gear crossover or something like that. They have a whole weird segment where Sam stares at a box. It's coming to PS5. It basically sounds like a potentially slightly better looking, slightly runs better version of Death Stranding with like maybe one new area. They'll have a new trophy associated to it. Like, do you think there's any more to this than meets eye, or is it just that as simple as it sounds?
No, it is just a fancy way of saying it's a upgraded version. They'll have some extra places that you can travel to. He'll throw in some more celebrities or good friends.
Yeah, probably.
As the whatever they're called, I can't remember.
The
Vault Keepers or whatever.
Yeah, I can't actually remember, but yes, the Vault Keepers.
Yep. You'll be able. One will be Corey Barlog, one will be Neil Druckmann, and you'll have hologram Ellies running around, getting chased by hologram Abbeys.
Yeah, there's a lot. So I'm excited. It is exciting to think about Death Stranding with all of the PS5's features, to be honest. Like, I don't remember if we said it on the podcast, but as soon as they announced the DualSense, it was like, imagine Death Stranding. When I was playing Death Stranding to get in the Platinum for episode 300, and I was playing that and being like, man, it would be really cool if this was taking advantage of the DualSense controller and this had proper 3D audio and all this sort of stuff, because it just seems like a game prime for using all of those features. Like, imagine walking up the snowy mountaintops and you feel the heaviness of that walk within the controller, and then compared to running along like the more deserty aspects and all that sort of stuff. Like, Kojima loves taking advantage. Think about the fact he already used the controller to shake the baby, and the baby would cry through the controller. Like, so I presume that this version is just going to go crazy with all the DualSense features, all the bells and whistles. Kojima's going to have a great old time with it. I'm sure it'll run it'll be like 4K 60 probably. I'll be surprised if there's ray tracing. I feel like that's way too much, but I feel like 4K 60 surely. I don't know. Is there anything else you would hope or expect from something like this?
No. All those things that you said.
I don't. Because it's not going to add.
I don't know what else you could add.
No.
Are they going to add Norman Reedus' penis in this one?
I don't know.
So you get full camera in the shower?
I don't know if we're going to go that far, because no, it's not.
Are they going to update the ads?
Yeah, sure. That's not a bad idea. Keep
different ads. I don't know if he's got this show anymore.
No. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Like, if Kojima releasing
other product placement.
No, I was going to say, like, if he hides an Easter egg in it that teases whatever he's been working on or something. Like, even if I don't mean like a CGI cutscene. I mean sorry, I just thought, what if in this version he made a deal with Red Bull? The Monster Energy drinks are suddenly being swapped out. Yeah, that'd be funny. But no, I feel like it'd be a very Kojima thing if he adds like a simple hint to his next game. And by simple, I mean, one of my favorite examples is there was that hidden room in Batman Arkham Asylum where you could break into a hidden room and it had a map for Arkham City. Like, that sort of Easter egg, Like, I'd love for him to add something like that to tease whatever he's thinking he's going to work on next.
The other thing that would be interesting is if you actually go down into one of the camps. I don't know if I want to be honest. Like, I don't know. I've enjoyed the mystery, like you're like, I am a porter. I am Sam Bridges. I live in the real world. I don't want to,
It's like
I don't need to see how other people
I don't
live.
they're down there living their little lives. I'm up here being a superhero. You know what I'm saying? Superhero Melman. Doing what I got to do. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll find out soon, apparently. So, then we'll talk about it then. I hate how they didn't give a date or like a rough thing. It was just like, you'll find out more soon and the game's coming soon. I'm like, that's doesn't really make sense. Like, they both can't be happening soon.
Come on, Jeff.
You know, like.
Hit him.
Fucking.
Stop talking about 9/11 and give us the facts that we actually care about.
You know what it actually means? It means, when we think about it properly, it probably does mean that Keighley is going to announce a follow-up summer game thing with him.
Opening
Do you reckon?
Nightlife.
Does that count as soon? August?
Sure.
Like that's
away.
late August.
In this grand scheme of things, is
that still soon? I don't know if I count that as soon. No, that doesn't count. If that's soon, that's bullshit. I'm gonna say he announces and by stream I mean like a 15-minute-ish like scheduled YouTube video.
7-hour.
Please no
promo.
We shall see.
Of hands.
We shall find it. Anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Of course, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about the show, you can join our Discord by heading to explosion.com/Discord. You can tweet at us, explosion.com/Twitter. And if you liked the episode and thought it was enjoyable, informative, fun times, mail delivery awesomeness, you can head on over to explosion.com/support us, where there's a way to donate as little as $1 to us to show support, or buy a t-shirt or a number of things like, I don't know, rate the podcast 5 stars on that podcast. That's a good way to do things. Until next week, remember that every trophy counts. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.